Hello and welcome back. We've now gone through different aspects of the assembly drawing. At this point we then make the working drawing and take our 3D model into the 2D world. To do this we then move into a new form. So we go up to our new icon and go to the option Make Drawing from Part or Assembly, and we'll open up that window. Inside of this window it's going to allow us to select which size sheet we're going to work with, and for this demonstration we'll just simply use a B-sized ANSI in landscape format. Once that sheet loads up into our drawing view, we can see on the left hand side of the screen where our sheet is set, and we're going to quickly go in and make sure that our settings are correct by selecting the sheet format and a right click and going to properties. On our properties window comes up, what we want to look at is a couple of things. First of all, we want to look at the scale the sheet is in, and this scale is currently set to 1 to 4. I'm going to change that sheet scale to 1 to 2 or half scale. And we see that the type of projection is in first angle projection, which is used primarily in Europe. In the United States we use third angle. SOLIDWORKS is set to default to first angle, so you need to make sure that this is changed to third angle when you open up your drawing size. And I'll simply select the B-size ANSI landscape, which has a defaulted title block, of which we will look at how to modify in another module. So now that I have my sheet set up correctly, I'm ready to compose the sheet with different elements. And in this case we're looking at the assembly drawing. So I'll move to the side and then pull out my view palette, and I can see that I have various views on my drawing. I'm going to start by bringing in the standard assembly. Now when we last met we left our drawing in exploded view, but here in my view palette I can still pull across the isometric assembly that is completely composed. When I place this and come into a line drawing, that can be modified over here on the left hand side, so by changing the display style, so I can show it in the shaded mode with the edges highlighted or without. With the shaded edges is a little more clear, but typically you'll see most working drawings done with single line form. I can go in and show it with hidden lines, but that becomes very cluttered and difficult to follow. So less is more in this case. Now as you looked at your compositions, we would want to look at other things we can do with this as well. We can come down and change our sheet scale. Even though we've set that to 1 to 2, we can come in and change this view to a custom scale of our choosing, either one that we want to define ourselves or one of the standard scales that are provided. We can also put it into projected view if we so choose, in order to get a more realistic look at what this drawing looks like. Once we decide our view and we log that in, we do need to do a few things with our assembly. First we want to put a note which will give us a chance to place a label as to what this drawing is. And it's always good to label our drawings. A drawing title is typically done at a 1/4 inch height or 0.2, and we're going to use a Gothic style lettering as we work there. And I'm just going to go ahead and type in, using all cap letters, this name of this drawing. So this is an assembly drawing. If I can get my cursor to the right place, sorry about that. Increase that out just a little bit so you can see the typing. And we'll just label this assembly drawing for demonstration purposes. Once I'm select with that, if I click again, my drawing is now placed and I have it in all caps. Now notice I left a residual in here. That's just a residual. It should go away in just a moment, and that doesn't really exist there. Now my assembly drawing is great. It's got its title, but if I would right click on my view, I can in SOLIDWORKS come down to my pull down. Let me come up a little higher, and in there I have an option called tables, which will allow me to place a bill of materials on my drawing. Now bill of materials can be placed in a couple places, so once I've selected that, it's going to come in and go with a standard setup at first, and I can come in and make various modifications as far as showing the grid, what line weights are going to be used there, and what's going to happen on each thing. Now when I'm putting in my bill of materials, there are a couple of things that can happen as we do this. First is I can just do top level elements only, so anything that's internal won't show. I can do just parts that I've created, or I can do it indented and in a structure format that follows more of a systematic approach depending on the firm you're with. In this case, for this demonstration, let's just show it as the standard. When I bring that in, the bill of materials has two locations. If I place it down here above the title block, I would need to go through and modify it so that the number 1 item starts at the bottom and it moves up in a sequential form. So typically what you'll see is that the title block is placed in the upper right hand corner, and each placement there shows each part as it was loaded into the assembly in its order. So we have the base, the column, and this is the order in which we created it. Now once my title block is loaded with my bill of materials in there, I can now go in and use my text and add in the description, as also modify any quantities that I'd want to choose. And if we remember, we have these cap pieces here. There are 2 of those, and they're loaded there. The description would contain things like your finished material, material that you're going to make it out of, if it's a purchased item, the catalog and the location where they purchased that. But another feature that comes along with this bill of material is the ability to identify our parts. So at this point, I'm going to go into the Annotation tab, select the balloon option, and there's an auto balloon and a balloon. Let me show you the auto balloon first. If I hit the auto balloon, it'll automatically align and point to everything. And I'm just going to lock that in for just a moment because there's a few things that we need to be aware of when we use auto anything in a program. One of the things that happens is that our leader lines start to cross over. It simply aligns everything. In this case, it's going in a relatively ordered fashion, but it doesn't really give us the chance to keep it clear. Typically, a leader line should never cross another leader line. So what we're going to do here is we are going to take and undo what we've just done and do it manually with the balloon option. In here, I can go through and I can select each of the parts and place exactly where I want that bubble icon to go. And notice that if I select those, it doesn't matter in which order I select each part. SOLIDWORKS simply knows what to label it based on the order in which it was used. And so I can come through here and in a relatively short order of time, I can label all my parts and I tie those into my title block, which now holds on, or excuse me, my bill of materials. As I finish out labeling each of these, again, the idea is to not have them overlap. And in that case, I got the wrong one, so let me just undo that last one there and come back in and correct that by selecting the table pin. And we have our parts labeled. From here on out, the working drawings will be composed in the order in which they show on the bill of materials. So I could go into now my next sheet, dimension the base, then the column, then the table, table pins, so forth, as I go through my working drawing. Thank you for this session of working drawings. And in this case, it's the assembly drawing itself. Thank you.